Episode 8 Act 1 is on the horizon and it brings quite a few changes to Valorant. A new gun, map changes, agent buffs and nerfs, and a pretty sick new bundle. In this video, I'm going to break everything down for you and share my opinion on all the updates so you can get a head start on this new episode. Arguably, the biggest change is the introduction of a brand new weapon. The Outlaw is a semi-automatic sniper rifle that fits in between the Marshal and the Operator. It costs 2,400 credits, does 140 damage to the body, and has 2 bullets in the magazine that you can fire in quick succession. Obviously, this weapon is extremely strong against eco and half shield buys due to being one shot to the body. However, I must say that it does feel kind of clunky to use because you have such a limited ammo and the reload time is pretty slow. So you have to position smartly and take fights smartly with the Outlaw. You can no-scope people at close range, but it's not as reliable as with the Marshal. An interesting tweak is that reloading 1 bullet takes less time than reloading 2, so reload management is another skill to master with this weapon. I'm very curious to see how this weapon will impact the game balance. I'm not convinced yet that it's totally OP, but it definitely seems strong. Let me know your guys' opinion in the comments below. Aside from a new weapon, we also have new weapon looks, namely the Kuronami skin bundle. Honestly, this bundle is pretty sick. Clean look, cool variations, satisfying sounds, a sick finisher, and a unique knife animation that makes you feel like pulling out jet knives. So if you're looking to invest into a new bundle, this one is definitely worth considering. Before we next talk about the interesting map changes for this act, I want to show you our new rank up tool Inside. Because if you want to improve and truly reach your dream rank this season, then you should definitely check it out. Inside is free and it breaks down your gameplay into strength and weaknesses, so you know exactly where you need to improve. And for these areas, you then get recommended content, so you know exactly what to do in order to start carrying your games. It's made by players for players, so we truly believe this will unlock your rank up potential. Link is in the description. Alright, the next big change is regarding the maps. Haven is rotating out after being in the map pool from the start, and Icebox is coming back in. And for like the 50th time, we are seeing changes being made to the map. A side stays as it is, but in B main we see the area being opened up, which gets rid of all these little weird angles and hiding spots, and this should make it easier to clear this with util for attackers, but it also gives better sidelines for defenders, which could allow for better operator play as well. The next big change is simplifying the orange area by getting rid of the second pathway, which I like quite a bit because it makes playing in this area more straightforward, and hopefully it will make mid more of a viable option instead of always going A or B main. What could add to that is the changes in tube, because you now have a new box to play around and, very interesting, a window that you can shoot through and jump out of. Tough to say how exactly that will impact the map balance, but it's interesting for sure. The other map changes that are being made are on Lotus, and they're mainly designed to make this map a little bit more balanced and less attacker favored. On A side, there is now more cover to play around for defenders when contesting A main, and the area on the right is not such a vulnerable spot as before. Furthermore, we once again see simplification on the A bomb side by removing the middle part of the HUD and instead adding some space in the back to play around. Heading from A to B through the breakable door, we see some space being added on the right side, which makes it more important to use util for clearing this area. And on B side, we now see more space being added as well to play around for defenders by adding a cubby on the other side. And so this will now be harder to take as well, since you can quickly create a nice little crossfire with the guy playing B and then one person supporting from breakable. And the planting area got a little smaller as well, which doesn't seem like much of a change at first glance, but you now must commit more when defending the spike post plant from B main, which makes it harder for attackers again. Finally, on C side, we're seeing major changes to the bomb side. Once again, there is more space and a new angle added behind the entrance point, so defenders have more options to defend the choke point, and altogether the bomb side just doesn't feel as claustrophobic as before. The planting area is shifted towards the left massively, which makes sense because pretty much the only plant being used before was the one towards mount, and this plant is now less safe because the stone wall is smaller and you can easily get banged through a smoke from CT while planting. On the other hand, you now can plant totally safe on the left side, but this will force you to commit to holding side more instead of playing post plant from mount. In order to have some more options to play around side, we see 3 boxes being added, which form a big obstacle on side that gives much more cover than before. Overall, I like these changes quite a bit, and I'm curious to see how playing on Lotus will develop. Patch 8.1 also brings Deadlock Buffs, as she is still the agent being played the least. The probably craziest change is to her E ability, the Barrier Mesh, and this thing is absolutely huge now and can block even the widest areas, which is quite interesting. And you also can now recall and then replace your Q, the sonic sensor, within a round, and it has an increased pickup distance as well. And it also triggers faster, which makes it more useful when stopping side executes. So altogether, Deadlock obviously becomes stronger with these changes, but it's questionable if this makes her viable and able to challenge the other sentinels, because the fact alone that you don't have a 100% safe flank protection just is a huge liability for Deadlock. Next up, we have Killjoy, who is being nerfed by decreasing the vision radius of her turret from 180 degrees to 100 degrees, and this means you need to make new decisions on which flank paths your turret is actually supposed to hold, and it will become more difficult to cover all flanking possibilities, which again is an alright nerf, I think, because less util presence means more opportunities to make plays, which I don't mind. There were some rumors about a cipher change and that his tripwires will now trigger the stun faster, but I wasn't able to confirm that yet, so we'll have to wait for the full release. Last but not least, here is the Battle Pass for Episode 8 Act 1. Now, if you're looking to improve in this new season, then I would recommend watching our in-depth guide on how to always have good crosshair placement next. It's linked right here, and I'll see you there.